Hello everybody, I'm your host Nolan Brewer and you're watching Artist Corner. Today I'm joined by two special guests, Max Duggan and Rich Vreeland, aka Disasterpeace. Max Duggan is a video game composer, musician, and songwriter, and Rich Vreeland is a musician, video game composer, and a prolific audio programmer. I brought these two on today to discuss their work on Mini Metro alongside their other creative endeavors. Without further ado, here's the episode. Hello everybody and welcome to Artist Corner. Today I'm joined by some friends of the podcast, Max Duggan and Rich Vreeland. And if you're not familiar with their work,
It's making me laugh.
I like that we've graduated to friend now that this is the second time.
Yeah.
Is that cool with you?
Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
That's good.
well, I've been talking to Max a bit and
Nice.
I consider us friends at least.
Cool.
But yeah, if you're not familiar with them, they're composers and musicians. And together they worked on Mini Metro, which is kind of I still don't know how to explain it. We talked about it last time.
Yeah.
I could do it if that's easiest. Yeah. Yeah, when we first tried to shoot, this is on me. Mini Metro's primarily a mobile strategy game where you route different subway systems. And I guess the goal is you try to make sure the subway stations don't fill up with too many passengers without making it to their next station time, the proper time. I don't know. But the cool thing about it is that it has a procedurally generated music system. So each time you play the game, the soundtrack reacts to the gameplay and builds, I guess, a new song every time you go in, essentially.
Basically, yeah. It's so it's on mobile, but it's also on desktop and I think console, and you could play it on Apple TV. Like it's kind of everything. And yeah, for sure. And yeah, you're essentially like building a bunch of you're building a subway system, a train system, essentially, like a metro for a city. And it kind of starts small and unassuming. And the music kind of starts that way. And then as the city gets more and more crazy, and there's more and more stations and more passengers, more and more types of stations, the sound palette kind of evolves to match that. So there's this sort of like one-to-one relationship between what's happening in the game and the music. It's sort of taking a lot of the game data and basically looking at it as sequences and sort of turning that into music. So you have something like you have a line, like a train line that has maybe has 6 stations on it, and of course the stations could also be on another line potentially, but each line has its own pulsing rhythm that has a pitch to it. And so you can have as many as 7 different lines going in a city. So there's all these opportunities to create different harmonies and cross rhythms and that sort of thing with these 7 different pitches going at different rhythms. And there's this whole progression system where the game takes it looks at like what lines you've changed recently, and basically the line that you've changed, the line that has least recently been modified, when you modify that one, that moves the whole chord progression forward. And so there's a sort of like, if you have 4 lines, say, there's these like JSON files or text files basically that just have like these long strings of pitches, and for each line there's a pitch in the sequence that it's mapped to, and there's this sort of window of pitches. Like say there's 4 lines in the game, and say there's 4 pitches. There's C3, E3, G3, B3. When this least recently updated line gets updated again, it's going to shift the whole progression forward by 1 pitch. And so now you're going to be dealing with E3, G3, B3, and a new note. I mean, maybe it's a D4 or something, whatever we wrote into the level. And so the system was designed in such a way that you could like create these loadouts, which are like text files that have all the JSON data for each particular city. And then you can iterate and change like the rhythms, the chord progressions, things like, does the rhythm swing in this level or not, or like lots of little details like that. And then over the years, like the game originally came out in 2014.
I think it's 2016, right? Oh yeah,
2014.
I joined in 2020, I think.
Yeah. So over
Yeah.
the course of like the life of the game, initially I was doing all the levels myself, and then at some point I was like, okay, I feel like I've kind of like explored this to a good degree, and I wanted to open it up to other people just to see what they would do with the system. So I've had a couple of different collaborators over the years, and more recently Max has done a few updates, right? Max, you've done like 2 or 3 updates.
I've done let me think. Sorry, still getting over this cold. Hang on. I've done Chicago. Oh, I pronounced the name. Is it Chongqing? Is the way you say the city? Because I was always saying Chongqing.
You're asking me? I have no idea.
Oh, one of us should know this. That's bad. Budapest, Lisbon, Tokyo, Warsaw, and I feel like I did another one. I don't know. And then all the Reflections Mini Metro ones on Spotify and Apple Music and stuff. Yeah, a decent amount now.
How was the Spotify distribution process like, by the way?
Oh, like working through the EP together?
Yeah, because in the game it's kind of generative, so I think it's interesting how you could still turn that into something that you listen to on a streaming service, right?
It's kind of a funny story. Like I had always had the desire to make a standalone soundtrack for Mini Metro, and I always felt stuck. Like I could never quite figure out how to do it in a way that just like touched me in the right way, creatively, personally.
Yeah.
But at some point, I invited Max to kind of give it a shot, and I think he just kind of ran with it, and found that inspiration that he needed to make a version of it that worked.
So many brutal multiple-hour FaceTime calls going through. Like, I'll go into.
I was trying
the process is awful.
I was trying to hold Max to my standards for what I wanted, and it was not fair. I don't think, because the reason that I had never made one is because I kept trying and failing, I felt personally like I was failing to kind of like realize what it could be. And I think to Max's credit, he maybe embraced like what it is instead of trying to make it something more than what it is or something that it's not.
Well, we had a few different approaches for it because it was
yeah,
I remember because that was when I was interning for you. That was like the first internship assignment. Then I grew into more of an assistant position afterwards. But yeah, you said you wanted to find a way to capture it for streaming services. And my idea with it was to record a bunch of the gameplay, stitch together the gameplay, and build these little tracks off of it. And then I sent you, it was like before the internship even started, I sent you a few tracks of me just like playing it and stitching together like screen recordings. And then you gave me access to the the only programming I know how to do is Mini Metro. So the JSON scheme.
That's not even really. It's not even really programming.
Yeah, it's
JSON.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's a good skill to have. I mean.
Yeah.
Better than none.
But yeah, so you gave me that, and then I was able to manipulate things more to fit kind of what I needed. So I started putting everything in the same key, and then just had this giant logic session where I was recording all of these playthroughs of Mini Metro. And then our original draft was you wanted it to hit every single beat you could in the level. So you're like, it has to have multiple tempos, it has to speed up, it has to slow down. And
I was trying to capture the entire arc of the musical experience in a level, which is really hard. It's really hard to do that.
We had an 8-minute song at one point. For it's the underground now on the EP. We called it London, back then. But I remember I have a text from you like, this is a behemoth of a piece of music. Oh my God. But there's one day where, so we would jump on FaceTime together. I was supposed to fly out to go work with Rich in LA, but then COVID hit. So we started working remotely together. So we'd just do these like super long calls. And Rich had this like one fade that he really didn't like in the London level. And every week I was coming in with a different fade for you. And you were just like, no, I hate this. No, I hate this one. And then, so one week I came in, I think it was with 11 different transitions, and you vetoed all of them. And I was like, oh my God.
I have a very sensitive ear when it comes to crossfading, and like edits.
You put me through it. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't singling you out in any way. I just
no, I know it was good.
I just wanted it to be really good. So
yeah, so for the tracks that kind of followed that traditional concept of hitting every beat in the level, that was The Underground, U-Bahn, and then L was kind of a last minute ad. That was the only one I did without Rich. That was the Chicago one. But yeah, after we did The Underground and U-Bahn, which were initially called London and Berlin, I wanted to make things that still fit the mini metro sphere and still use the procedurally generated music system, but also kind of touched on some different elements. So then I created Reflections using the main menu theme, and then Shinkansen using the pause menus from the Osaka level. And I thought they were kind of more like lo-fi and more ambient. Yeah, they didn't hit all the beats, but I really liked those. And then L, I really wanted the Chicago level to make it into the EP. And I know that was the first one you had me work on because I live here and I'm from here. So I did that one in a week, super fast, kind of blending both approaches. I don't think I even showed you beforehand. I just kind of snuck it in. And then, and then
it worked.
Yeah. So yeah, it was fun. That was months and months of us going back and forth with stuff. And then we like play Halo afterwards for hours and just talk about life. It was a fun time. Yeah.
Nice.
Rich swore off Halo forever after that too. Yeah, we
pretty much.
We were playing on Legendary. Well, it's been 4 years.
Was it a rage quit?
Yeah, we
it wasn't like a rage quit. It was more like the grind of playing something for a while, and at some point I just I wasn't having fun anymore. Like
it was a rage quit at the flood level, I will say.
Was I really pissed off?
Oh yeah, it was. We said we'd go through the Halo 1 campaign on Legendary, and we made it through everything up until I think it was the final flood level, and we were in it 2 hours, and we kept dying over and over and over and over. And then, I think we hit almost 3 hours on it, and you were like, all right, I'm done. I'm never playing this stupid game again. It's so we do game nights with like Akash like all the time, like every I guess Akash the car. I'm forgetting that we're live for a second.
Yeah, you're good. By the way, I'm gonna be interviewing him for the next episode.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
That was the you said you're never playing this again, and it's been 4 years since, and we do game nights all the time. We've never done Halo since.
It's true.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a favorite Halo?
Halo 3. Yeah.
I only remember Halo 1 and Halo 2. I don't even remember if I played Halo 3.
I'm sorry for ruining your memories of Halo 1.
My favorite memories of Halo are playing multiplayer with like a bunch of people.
Yeah.
That was mostly Halo 1 and a little bit of Halo 2.
Yeah, 3 will forever be it for me. I don't know. I love all of them all.
I think the reason that like I got tired of it is just that we were playing on Legendary. Like for me, I don't maybe like when I was like 20, when I was like 18 or something, like there was something compelling about like trying to be really good at something, like at a game, and like going through the struggle of like failing over and over and over again. But now I just want to have a good time.
Yeah, all my
dying,
other friends have vetoed. Yeah, Legendary.
Dying like for 3 hours straight is like not fun, and I don't care to like be an amazing Halo player. I just want to have a good time because I have other things to do. So I think that's part of it. It's like, I just want to have fun. Like I want to have fun playing games. I don't want to, I'm not in some sort of like personal quest to like be, elite.
Except I'd say in something like NHL 94. Things like that, you do go all out. I see a new side of you. That
Yeah, but I don't practice that game. I mean,
that's true.
I
You
played
played it
it
with the Kosh in
religiously.
college.
So I'm a huge ice hockey fan,
Yeah.
and I played the NHL series like religiously growing up
Mm.
from like 1990 NHLPA hockey, which was like 93, all the way up to like maybe the last couple years. I kind of stopped. I kind of dropped off, and I haven't been playing it that much.
What
But
console were those on?
the original ones that I started playing were like Genesis and SNES, but primarily Genesis because those were better in my opinion. Um, and then, PlayStation 1 and 64, Xbox 360, like like all the way through. I was basically playing that game every year. And so, when you do that, when you just like, you're just getting together with some people to play the game,
Yeah,
like
you kick my ass.
I mean, and not to mention, I watch like 100 game. I watch like 100 hockey games every year because
Yeah.
I'm a diehard New York Rangers fan. So, I just I I just kind of live and breathe hockey. So it gives me a little bit of a competitive advantage.
That's your Worms 2 Armageddon, or your Worms 2 Armageddon to me. That's the one game no one can beat me at.
Max is
Maybe.
Max is ridiculous at that game, and I have a really hard time playing that game well. I think if I took the time to like practice it, I could maybe get good at it. But there's this like feeling of every button you press could be like a catastrophic mistake that
Sorry,
makes the game.
what kind of game is it?
It's
So
like a
weren't
turn-based strategy game,
it's a
kind of.
s- it's a series of games that have been around for a long time, and yeah, it's side-scrolling, turn-based, where you have these little worm guys, and you're basically using weapons on each other, and trying to eliminate each other, and when it's your turn, you have like what is it, like 15 seconds max,
If
20
15 to
seconds.
start, I think, and then 30 seconds in the later rounds. Yeah, depending on
Yeah.
what mode you're
So
Ooh,
in.
you don't have that much time, and you have to like move your guy around and like make a move, like do use a weapon or whatever.
quick
And
thinking.
yeah, and if you don't have all the buttons down, like it's very easy to screw up and like kill yourself. It happens constantly, which makes it a really funny game to play. Actually, like Akash and I would like team up against Max, and I think we beat you once or twice, but it was
Once,
like a severe handicap. I mean, like
this is
we had
out of
like
dozens of games.
yeah, we had like twice as many players. We had twice as many like worms that as you did or something.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Akash went on this giant rant to me one night of how he said, I think playing Worms against me is the equivalent of if Michael Jordan went to a rec center and went to a children's basketball game and just went all out on all of them, like completely and just did not care. It's like, and then you have to wonder for Michael Jordan, like, is it even fun for him at that? I wish I recorded his rant. It was so funny. It was after I landed this insane grenade throw.
Is there a
Yeah.
competitive scene for that game? Have you thought about
There,
joining?
there's not. I'm so mad. If
Max is
anyone
the
listening to
entire
this, I
competitive
am the
scene.
competitive scene. If anyone in listening to this knows a competitive scene, I know there is for Worms Armageddon. I'm gonna get technical for a sec because I actually want to find this. Either for Worms 2 Armageddon or Worms Reloaded on Steam, because they're pretty much the same thing. Challenge me. I want to find a competitive scene, or let's build one together. So yeah, hit me up on Instagram. Yeah, we can talk about music stuff.
I think it's so fun to just go off track sometimes because honestly, I feel like with music, I feel like a lot of work with the music obviously happens when you're creating stuff, but I feel like when you're just living your life too and doing fun stuff, you can get inspiration from that.
Yeah, we've had
Totally.
yeah, I think I try to write about places a lot, or like I used to do those scoring the world videos on my Instagram. I should pick them back up, but I would I travel a lot, so I take videos of locations, stitch them together, and then write a little soundtrack to them and post them on my Instagram each time to try to capture the vibe of the space and
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, I love finding inspiration just out and
Yeah, those are
about.
great.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sometimes it's just, getting away from what you're doing, whether it's, on purpose or not.
Yeah.
Like you coming back to it, there's a certain like sense of excitement or refreshment that I find with writing music. Um and that could be like A B where A B is like where A is like working and B is just living, or it could be like
Mm,
A B where A is like writing music and B is some other thing that you do within the context of your work. Like for me, I'll go through periods where I'm writing a lot of music and then I kind of want to take a break from that and, you know, focus on something else maybe. And so I'll spend a lot of time doing programming, like audio programming. And after doing that for a while, I'll really miss making music and I'll want to go back to it. So it's cool. Yeah, it's really, I think, helpful to have the different streams, whether it's within the actual like audio or just like in general, can be
you're
really
so
helpful.
Yeah.
you're so good at finding like little technical things to focus on too, of different ways to approach music. So I remember you had built so many plugins that just like completely push you outside of the box, or you'll just build a new kind of procedural audio system, like either on Mini Metro or Paradise World.
Yeah.
It's so cool. I think we have very
Oh, thank
different,
you.
yeah, we have very different approaches, I think, to the way we do stuff. Mine's
Mm.
like I go for, I don't know, I guess like 2 hour walks alongside Lake Michigan and then just like try to find something and then come back. You said I'm very
Yeah.
emo in the way I
Yeah.
write my stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, I have a bit of that streak in me too, but I also have a very
yeah.
technical kind of element, I think.
Yeah.
I certainly have done quite a lot of, introspective walks
Yeah.
in my day and, feeling some type of way like emotionally about nature. Um, but yeah, I also get a lot of satisfaction out of like building things. So um, obviously you can build a song, but you can also build, an audio effect. You could build
A
like a
car.
system like you were talking about. Well, I'm really bad actually I'm really bad at like practical stuff.
I'm terrible at that stuff too. Oh my God.
Much to the chagrin of my wife. I'm not very good at practical stuff, but uh I there's just I find a lot of joy in just like solving a problem, even if it's a made up one. And I think a lot of times when you come up with cool tools, you're kind of inventing new problems.
Mm.
But you can find applications for it in music or whatnot. And yeah, so uh so I think what I was gonna say was like that. Sometimes you build a tool out of necessity, like when you're building a music system or something for a game, like there's an immediate application. But I find that it's just fun to like make tools, just the process of doing it for fun. It's just fun. Like
Hmm.
there doesn't have to be like an immediate need. And so I over the years got really into making like MIDI plugins, like
Mm.
MIDI filters, generative MIDI like plugins and also I started getting into DSP and building my own audio effects,
Sorry, what's
um,
DSP?
digital signal processing. So like, audio plugins like
Oh,
VSTs, stuff like
yeah.
that. So I kind of like will I'll find like a framework that I find easy to use. Like for MIDI, it was Logic Pro has this scripter API where you can build MIDI plugins in JavaScript. And for DSP, I started using Unity because Unity has these like filters that you can make, and it's very simple. Like it's really simple. Like anybody could make their own like you could make a gain plugin. Like my first plugin, it's like, it's one slider and it goes, 0 to 1 volume or something. And but from there, you can really, you can just kind of have at it and play around and come up with weird effects. And so, I kind of flirted with the idea of like releasing them commercially and like having some people to work with to help me do that. But ultimately decided that I wanted to prioritize the creation of these things over like, you know, spending a lot of time like marketing and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I'm just going to be like releasing them. I already started I put out a contact script last year, which is another kind of area that I've been kind of messing with. So yeah, I have a lot of stuff I have to release and I just haven't gotten around to it.
I'm in the same boat as you. Oh my
Like
God.
probably 100 contact scripts. And,
Oh, really? My God.
yeah, but I probably won't release all 100. I'll probably only release like, half of them, like the
Yeah.
really good ones.
I'm so behind on stuff I need to release too.
I wanted to make a comment. I thought it's so interesting how you said that you like to make tools for fun because I've heard different perspectives on that. I've heard there's people who only make tools as a necessity and don't necessarily do it for fun. Because I remember talking to Bill Wirtz about this, and I asked him about programming, and he said that programming is kind of he started programming because it was a necessity for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's interesting how people have different views on creating their own
Yeah.
tools.
Well, I kind of agree with that. Like I wouldn't just code for fun. Like I also think of it as a means to an end. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to, because I don't want to get bogged down. I mean, and sometimes I do, but
Yeah.
I would prefer not to get bogged down in like minutia that ultimately doesn't matter.
Sorry.
And
Oh no,
You're good.
you said I wouldn't program for fun. I was just thinking about some of the meme stuff. I can't say what it was, but the generator you made.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But even that is like, it's about the end result, right? It's not about the
Yeah.
programming. It's about
I
like,
see.
it's about, wouldn't it be cool if like this thing existed? And
Rich
then,
has made little applications for inside jokes and stuff. But yeah, I see what you mean.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, uh, I don't know. I totally forgot what I was going to say, but
You're good.
it's like, um, yeah, I don't know. It's gone.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
It's okay.
It happens to me sometimes too. So,
Yeah.
It's all good.
so was there anything that you worked on besides the music for Mini Metro? Unless,
Like together?
yeah, together. Unless we already covered some of it.
No, yeah, we've had a bunch. I mean, that's been the only, I guess, like game soundtrack. I did some audio QA stuff for Paradise Marsh, like some testing for that, and then I help out with Rich's like music distribution stuff on Spotify.
Max is Max is very knowledgeable about digital distribution, and I think probably a lot of it comes from like trial and error and just
Oh my God.
talking to reps at different distribution companies and stuff like that, which I have never had the stomach to really do. But Max is very good at like dealing with people, I would
Thank
say.
you.
That's a great skill.
Compared to me. So I really appreciated his help like with some of the stuff.
Yeah, there's we're migrating Rich's discography from one distributor to the other, and in order to do so, you have to delete the entire discography and re-upload it. But
Scary.
yeah, if that
I've
goes,
thought
like you
about that.
lose all your streaming counts, you lose absolutely everything. I have 102 emails back and forth with this one guy at the distributor. I called Rich 4 times because there's a button where it's like, okay, delete the entire Disasterpeace discography. And I kept calling Rich, like, are you sure? Are you sure you trust me? I've never done this before. But yeah, it worked though. But yeah, so I've helped out. helped out with that stuff. And then I think Rich has had a hand in a
And
lot of
your
my
indie songs, yeah.
games. Yeah, my first track with vocals ever, a track called Cerulean. I was workshopping that at your house, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one in LA a while back. And yeah, and then you helped me with some mastering on Where the Planes Become Stars. You helped with some mastering on some like new live stuff.
Yeah.
I
Just
think
quick,
some
just like quick, like kind of being a sounding board. Sometimes like Max has reached out and been like, hey, what do you think of this? And I'll give him my opinion about like the production, or I'll show him like, oh, here's some things you could do to maybe make this a little more like what you're looking for.
I think Evanston Beach has been our most fun story of that one. If you,
Yeah, that's probably the
yeah,
one that we did the most on.
yeah,
Max came to stay with us for like a couple days, and you did some recording on your phone, which we
yeah,
used, right? We used it in the track because, I mean,
The phone
like,
has good audio quality, honestly.
yeah, the mics have gotten pretty
yeah.
good, and I mean, I don't know, I kind of like lo-fi stuff.
Me
Uh,
too.
it
Yeah,
has a certain character to it, so
yeah. It was. I had this voice memo of a song called "Some Evanston Beach" that I'd been working on for a while, and Rich and I were in his studio space, like
which is
upstairs.
just a room like this
Yeah,
one.
like,
It's not.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have any fancy gear.
Um, and I was just originally you were gonna help with some mastering on like a game soundtrack thing I was working on. I was just playing my unreleased stuff in the background, and then Evanston Beach came on, and you said that you really liked it, and I was really frustrated because I loved the voice memo, but I felt like I wasn't able to capture the energy of it. And then Rich had this idea, which I'd never seen the technology of this prior to this, just a couple years back, but um, he ran the voice memo through this AI vocal remover tool and split my guitar and my vocals from this track that I just recorded in my bedroom back in Chicago. Um, and for the first time, I was able to like I guess get the isolated guitar track that I was having trouble recreating. And then yeah, I had 3 hours left till I had to leave for my flight. And you're like, okay, we're gonna get your next single for this. And I wanted to keep the phone quality to it. So yeah, you're recording me with like voice memo recordings for a few hours. I don't know. That was so crazy. Just I don't know. That was so much fun. Then we just edited everything. I did like a quick like mastering pass at the airport and uploaded it like a couple days later.
Wow.
But yeah, I don't know. That was just so cool. And seeing you like comp vocals, like I don't know. I've been doing this a few years and I felt like Logic is kind of an extension of myself. You get so accustomed to it. And I felt pretty confident in my ability. Rich is a god. It's insane watching you work. Like you're so fast and like
it's just because I've been using it for 16 years, I think. I've been using
yeah,
Logic
I've been
or
using
something
it
like that.
since I think 10 years now, maybe. Yeah, I got it when I was 15, I think. Maybe a little less, 8 years.
Yeah, I didn't start using it until I was in college.
Oh,
Before I went to
Wow.
college, I had only been doing music production for like before college, like maybe a year or 2 years. And I was
oh
using
yeah.
garage band primarily.
Hmm.
And then in college I was mostly doing Reason for the first year or two, and then I basically made the full switch to Logic as something that was a little more practical, less skeuomorphic cables. Not that you need to use those, but Reason has the whole like back panel thing where you can patch everything, which when I was first starting, it's like, oh, that's really cool. But the more that I used it, I was like, this is actually kind of messy and annoying. At least for me, like I found it to be a little I don't know, like a distraction.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, going back to Logic was pretty comfortable from GarageBand. So
And
yeah, like I don't know, I use it. I use it exclusively for like a really long time. So you just like you pick up little tricks and ways of doing things that you think are fast, uh, and they keep adding more features that are really really useful, like things that I've thought of like, oh, I wish this existed. Like they just added like they just added slip editing, which is like so cool,
Oh yeah.
where you can like you can actually shift the audio within the region without moving the region. That's
Mm.
so cool.
So you guys use the same DAW, right?
Yeah, we both use Logic. I started on GarageBand too, like as a teenager and stuff. But yeah, they made it really easy to bounce stuff back and forth.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm sure there's probably been times where in a project like that, and you're working with someone that has a different DAW, it might get a little tricky to bring stuff back and
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah,
I frequently have to deal with people who use Pro Tools,
I hate Pro Tools.
and I really don't like Pro Tools, and I don't want to pay for it. Like, oh, I have to use like, once or twice a year I have to like do something with Pro Tools, and I'm like, oh, I have to pay for Pro Tools just to do this. So I try not to as much as possible. But that can be a little hairy. Like I was just recently was like working on a project where they sent me an OMF file, which is like I think it's an Avid, like it's like an Avid format that the Pro
Oh
Tools
yeah.
people made to like
I haven't even heard of that.
to create like a you can send a session that someone can import into another DAW, and it is like it's pretty janky. Had to I it First of all, Logic doesn't even support it anymore, so I had to run Logic in Rosetta, which is
Oh
weird. Like,
God. Yeah.
why would the Rosetta version, the same version of the software, like you like support it and the other
Yeah.
doesn't? But I had to do that, and then like it imported it at the wrong sample rate, and like
Oof.
regions were all weird, and everything left and right like stems were not interleaved. So like this giant section of L and R tracks.
Oh.
It's just a lot of little things that are like you could tell that they don't really care about making this really, really good. Like it's kind of an afterthought at this point, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is.
We're sorry for killing your chance of ever getting an Avid sponsorship on this podcast, Nolan.
I don't use anything from Avid anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they're not even now that chance just got even worse. It's all right though. So, is there anything else that you guys would like to talk about today?
No.
I have to run in 3 minutes, so
Oh,
whatever you guys want to talk about.
last minute questions, literally.
I thought you were interviewing us.
Well, I always like to ask that just to like, because sometimes people do this a lot and they don't always get to ask the questions they want.
Yeah, we did
Right.
kind of go into
Yeah, people always ask, they're like, do you have anything else you want to add? And I'm always like, no, I don't I don't have anything to say.
That's all right. Yeah.
But some people do, so I mean, it's worth asking, I think.
Yeah. That's my philosophy with things in general. It's better to ask and get a no than to not ask at all.
I guess.
That's my
All right,
opinion.
I'll think of a last thing. Let me see. I guess things that we've learned from each other would be an interesting
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go first since I have to leave.
Okay.
I think Max's ability to solve problems by asking for help from other people is a really great skill that I don't really have. I think I've gotten better at it over the years, but my sort of go-to has always been to figure everything out myself. And I think I can attribute some of my success to that, but it also prevents me from like it's prevented me from maybe, being better at certain things. Like I could be better at certain things if I thought to ask for help more quickly instead of like, banging my head against the wall, like trying to figure something out myself. So I definitely really noticed that when, he and I worked together on certain problems that he was able to figure things out and to figure them out really quickly by just asking around and, interfacing with other human beings, which I don't always want to do. Like I'm a little bit more on the introverted side and I kind of I like to have my space. So yeah, that's what I'll say.
What would you say you've learned from Rich, Max?
I've learned so much from you. Oh, hard to condense in the probably 2 minutes we have to do this. But I think even outside of not no, I think I know even outside of game audio, you've been one of the best friends I've ever had and such a beacon of support in my life. And just taught me a lot about, I guess, hope and optimism, and been so inspiring to me. So I very much appreciate you and our worms nights. um yeah, and I
That's
mean
awesome.
you put me on the map career wise too. I didn't have like,
Aw,
yeah, Mini Metro was like my first
no,
kind of jump into games, really.
you did all the work.
Yeah.
I just try to throw you a bone, but you did all the work. So.
Yeah, oh, thank you. Yeah, Rich is he's a cool dude.
I think both of you guys
So
are cool dudes.
Oh,
everyone here is cool.
Yay. I should make this podcast the Cool Club.
Oh, I think your
The
current
cool
name
corner.
is better than this. No.
You could call it the cool corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all of us might have to run.
Yeah, I have to go.
No.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
Thanks again so much for joining me today. I had a lot of fun. And I mean, it means a lot to me that you and Max also take the time out of your day to talk to me about this stuff. So, yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
happy to.
Yeah, happy to. It means a
It
lot
was fun.
that you invite us. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. And
You
yeah,
too.
that'll wrap up the episode. Thanks for listening, guys. Love you guys.
Okay.
Love you, Rich and
Bye.
Max. Hey guys, I just wanted to say, first of all, thanks a lot for listening. I had a lot of fun talking to Max and Rich about Mini Metro and what it was like for them to work as a team. And really, a lot of our conversation was just eye-opening to me. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the episode. You can find Artist Corner on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and I release every Friday. So yeah, that's about it. There's a Patreon you can check out if you're interested. And I'll see you next Friday. Bye.